Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. I hope this year brings you and those you love every happiness. May you be blessed with good health. May you have not only good health, but may you have peace and joy and prosperity and everything that you need. May have you have all your needs met and blessings beyond measure. It's been a very long time since I've made a video, and I've really missed it actually. But sometimes life throws us some curveballs, and I needed to take care of one of my family members. And well, I'm sure for many of you as well, our first and foremost priority is to our family and the people we love, taking care of them, getting their needs met. And so I kind of had to put things on the back burner for a while, but I'm back now. And hopefully I'll be able to um, be here a little bit more often. And I hope you've been well since we last were together. Um, I want to talk about a lot of things because so much has been happening in the last, well, since the last time I've spoken. But today I'm going to focus more or less on one thing. So there's as a former teacher, I can't help but notice like how many parents now are getting involved and showing up to school board meetings and getting concerned and asking questions and questioning whether it be specific policies or material that's being presented, for whatever the reasons. Maybe some of them are not really happy with some of the subject matter, or maybe they don't feel their kids are ready for some of the things, whatever the reason. I just want to come out and say that I applaud parents who are getting involved. For whatever their reasons, they're getting involved because they care and they love their children. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I think everybody has a right, especially when it comes to their children, to ask questions, to find out what's being presented, when it's being presented, how it's being presented, because maybe there's some ideas that you're not very comfortable with, or you're not ready for your kids to learn about right now in their lives at this stage. Um, so I don't think it's inappropriate, and I think that's part of a responsibility of a parent. Ultimately, your kids are, I mean, you're your kids' greatest advocates. Um, so I think it's important that you should never be intimidated to ask questions. And as a direct result with that, as a direct result of that, a lot of parents are considering homeschooling. Now, that's something that's been growing for years. I remember actually when I was doing my undergraduate degree, I actually did a research project on homeschooling, and this is going back a long time ago, because it's been a while since I was an undergraduate. And I was amazed and really shocked at and impressed by what I was reading, by the research that I was finding. And since then, things have grown exponentially, um, in leaps and bounds. And it's moved so much, and there's a lot more help and resources available now than there used to be back then, the internet being one, and connecting so many different people. And I know that for some people who are considering homeschooling now, it can be quite intimidating, right? Especially if it's not something that you've been trained, right? You might feel a little bit insecure. So today I just want to give you some insight, as an educator, as a teacher, about what might be able to just make you feel a little bit more encouraged. So I want to tell you that as an educator, although I've studied for many years to get prepared for teaching children, right? You know, when you're studying education, they're teaching you a whole bunch of things, from how to formulate a really great lesson plan and make it something that might be more interesting to children, and all the bells and whistles that can go with that. And they're also teaching you about the development of the children's mind and how they do it, when they can learn certain things, when they can't learn certain things, how they are at different stages in their lives, at different ages in their lives. But honestly, I want to tell you, in my experience, the thing that I noticed um, as a teacher was the kids, I learned more as a teacher by just doing it. And that's what I think is true for a lot of teachers. I don't think anything quite prepares you for teaching children than just getting in there and doing it. Kind of like how you could read every parenting book in that there is, but and it can give you such great insight and advice and can be extraordinarily helpful. And same thing with teaching, right? Having that background can be so helpful, but nothing quite prepares you for teaching than teaching. And of course, teaching in a classroom with a whole bunch of kids is going to be a very different experience than teaching in a smaller group or with one or two kids, or if your kids, if it's two or three or whatever. Um, but I want to just come out and just give some of my personal insight. For one thing, I want to just tell those of you who are choosing to homeschool, don't be nervous if some of your lessons don't go the way you want them to go. Because even with us as trained professionals, sometimes lessons just don't go the way we want. You can have the best ideas, the best of intentions. You can be really prepared, but sometimes things don't go the way you want. Or sometimes what works for one kid may not work for another. It's not one size fits all. Maybe you did it with your older child, but when you did the same lesson with the younger child, nothing. It just didn't work. You just have to go with it and try plan B. And also, I want to tell you, look, not everybody knows everything. That includes educators as well, right? Nobody has all knowledge of every subject area. So don't worry if you feel like you have a weakness in a particular subject area or in a particular topic, because that's true of everyone. But what I would do is instead encourage you to look for online resources or video lessons. And you can always ask a family member or a friend who may be stronger in the subject area to help you, or who may know somebody who has maybe some expertise in an area to help you. And if that doesn't work, I mean, your plan fail safe thing is to maybe get a tutor for a lesson or two to help you if you can't find something else. I want to also suggest that you tune into your kids' natural curiosities and their interests as well. That's a great way to incorporate learning into your kids' lessons. I'm sorry, interest into your kids' lessons. So look for things that they're interested in and maybe research that topic, get books on that area. You can learn to read from different books, right? Different topics. It doesn't have to be a particular one. And sometimes with kids, when they're assigned something to read, you're going to get some pushback or some eye rolls, or, I really don't want to read that. I mean, we do that as educators too. We get that as well. But you do have a little bit more flexibility as a homeschooler to kind of use that avenue and try to find stuff that interests them and pursue that and teach through that other subject area for that other topic. There's also a ton of learning that can come from everyday life. So a simple trip to the grocery store can be huge, and it can inspire so much learning. Things like, where does our food come from, right? How does it get from maybe the farm to here? What's involved in that? Everything from growing a seed to, you can explore that in the development, how plants grow, how, what are their needs, photosynthesis. There's a lot of things that you can do from there, to how it gets from A to B and different transportation and routes that have to take and maps and stuff. I mean, you could really dig into that as much as you like. You can also talk about budgeting, estimating food costs, right? Or when we were kids, remember we kind of did rounding as a way to estimate things. That's another thing. So if this is going to cost this much and this is going to cost this much and this is our budget, this is what we're going to spend, or this is how much we want to spend, you can use that as a way to do some math, different math skills. And if there's a sale and there's like a 15% off coupon, well, hey, that's a great way to teach kids percentages. Things like cooking or even baking a cake can also give you a lot of ideas, right? You need a quarter cup of this, a half a cup of this. That's a great way to do fractions, um, following a sequence of events, right? Because sometimes we have to be very precise in the way we do things and what we put in, what can go in, what cannot go in, what can't be mixed with what. Um, you can even teach kids how an oven or a stove works, right? There's, depending on the age, of course. But there's potential in a lot of different everyday things. Now, I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not pretending to be one. I just wanted to give some insight and a little bit of encouragement to some who might be feeling a little insecure. But the one thing that I want to tell you, and I think this is the most important thing, is um, even myself as a teacher, even though I was trained to do this job, we all face this insecurity in us. Like, am I doing a good job? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be successful in teaching them everything that I want to? But what I found was, even if every lesson doesn't go perfectly, even if everything is not, picture perfect in the way that maybe it says in the book or the way it's supposed to be, kids will learn if they are loved. And when I say loved, I don't just mean telling them the words, I love you, because love encompasses so much more. It's a verb, right? And so love includes encouragement and empowerment. It's telling kids things like, you can do this. I believe in you. Or I'm really impressed with the work that you're doing right now. Wow, I never thought of things like that. You gave me a great idea, or you inspired me. You're doing such a great job. I love the way that you're progressing on this project. Love also includes correction and discipline. Things like, I really don't think this is your best effort, or you're not really putting 100% into this. Do you think you're putting 100% into this? Or this looks sloppy, or this looks rushed. I know you can do better. Come on, show me your best work. So that's kind of combining encouragement and some discipline and correction. Love is also patient, because sometimes, even if we do plan a great lesson, um, it may not go well, or sometimes they're trying and you're not into it that day, or maybe everybody's trying their best, but the kid is still struggling to learn something or to learn a topic. And that happens. And it can be extremely frustrating when maybe it was something that came easily to you, right? Maybe, you know, for you, the multiplication tables were a breeze, or chemistry was easy or a breeze, but maybe for your kid, it's not. And maybe it's frustrating because you thought that they would get it easier, or you're like, I don't understand why they can't get it. Different people have different strengths, different weaknesses, and it takes a lot of patience. But homeschooling does provide for a lot more flexibility, a much more tailored approach to teaching your child, and it gives you more control over material and methods and timing of when to introduce certain subject matters to your kids. And the truth is, you're teaching them every day already, whether you realize it or not. Kids are sponges, and they're always learning. They're always picking up things, whether we're aware of it or not. And this could be an opportunity for you to even strengthen your bond that much more as you become closer and you learn more about each other and um, learn a little bit more about what makes one tick or what motivates them. Now, I just want to be clear. I don't want anybody to think in any way, shape, or form that because I'm trying to encourage people who are considering homeschooling that I don't support teachers, because that's not true. I think teachers are amazing. And I've worked with some of the most incredibly talented and devoted and dedicated teachers in my lifetime. Uh, I was floored by some of the creativity, by the love and the devotion that they would show their children. And I have to say, listen, everybody knows nobody goes into teaching because they're looking to make a boatload of money, right? It's not something that's going to get you rich for sure. Most people who are going into teaching, the majority of them are going in because they have a passion, a love, and a dedication to children. And I'm sure many of you have had teachers that left on a left an impression on you long after you left their classroom. I know that there's so many teachers that I've had that made a lasting impression on me, whether it be something that they taught me or the way that they presented the material to me or the way they encouraged me. You know, I may not remember why I just went into the kitchen to pick something out and say, like, what was it? And yet there are certain things that I remember that teachers impressed upon me or taught me um, that never leave my mind. And so I just want to remind you that there are some amazing teachers out there. Well, I hope you enjoyed my video today. And just a reminder, if you're a parent or a homeschooler or a teacher and you're looking for some materials for your students or your kids, I have authored 2 lovely books, The Light Giver and Other Stories to Raise Emotionally Healthy Children, which is a collection of 22 children's stories, along with vocabulary words and discussion questions that address topics that reinforce good character traits like patience, kindness, forgiveness, integrity, honesty, and also teach kids how to better handle negative emotions, things like disappointment, envy, insecurity, fear. Um, and this book also comes with a very handy reference in the back called, sorry, story directory, where you'll get a brief 2-line, 3-line summary of each story and the topics they address. So if your kid is dealing with insecurity or fear and you just want to find those stories, you can just go back there and just pinpoint them in a snap. Because I just want to make your life easier. And I also am the author of the Light Giver Stories workbook, which has lessons, activities, and discussions that you can have with your kids to just further support these same topics. So I'll give you an example. There's a lesson on knowing the difference between constructive and destructive criticism, right? Or I offer lessons on how to create different tools to help kids shift their minds from negative to more positive thinking. So if a kid is discouraged or feeling fearful or depressed, they can use one of these tools that they create, fun things like a little happiness board, just kind of little arts and crafts project that'll help them to shift their thinking to something more positive. So if you're interested in finding out more about these books, you can go to my website, thelightgiverstories.com, www.thelightgiverstories.com. I give away 2 free sample stories along with the questions and vocabulary and 2 free lessons for my workbook there. I also have video lessons and video story readings on my website, as well as on Facebook, on YouTube, and Rumble. So I'm going to ask you please to share this video with your friends and family. And like and subscribe to my pages, the Light Giver Stories on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And for those of you who don't know, a percentage of the sales of both of these books go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital because my love is really for children. My heart is really just for them. Um, and I want to end this live by just reminding everybody to be a light giver. Share your love, share your light, share your goodness, share your kindness, your encouragement, and all the beautiful things that make you you with other people. We are going through very challenging times right now. And there's a lot of people and a lot of children who are facing discouragement, who are nervous, who are worried, who are not quite sure what tomorrow is going to bring. Am I going to school? Am I not going to school? Is it mask time? Is it not mask time? Is somebody going to get sick, or people are facing financial difficulties? We're all being challenged now a little bit more than normal. So by being a light giver, we can just bring somebody a little bit of joy. We can bring them a little smile. We can make them feel a lot better. And sometimes when we need to be encouraged, when we need to feel joy, when we need to feel a little bit of light coming into our lives, being a light giver for somebody else just does the trick. By being light givers to other people, we make our lives more beautiful. We bring more light and joy into them as well. Well, everybody, again, I'm going to ask you like, subscribe, and share my channels and my videos. And again, I just want to say to you, Happy New Year. May you be blessed. May God bless your families, your loved ones with all things beautiful. Until I see you again, my friends. Bye bye.